Imagine standing at the foot of a towering mountain. The peak is hidden in the clouds, and the path ahead looks steep and winding. This mountain is your spiritual journey, and right now, you might be feeling a mix of excitement and doubt. You're not alone. Many people start climbing this mountain with great enthusiasm, only to find themselves running out of steam halfway up. But what if I told you there's a secret, a hidden source of energy that can keep you going even when the path gets tough? This isn't about fancy techniques or complicated rituals. It's about tapping into something you already have inside you. Today, we're going to uncover this secret, and I promise, it will change the way you think about your spiritual journey forever. The truth is, staying motivated on your spiritual path isn't always easy. Some days, you might feel like you're floating on clouds, connected to something greater than yourself. Other days, you might wonder if you're making any progress at all. But here's the thing. This up and down feeling is normal. It's part of the journey. The real challenge isn't in avoiding these feelings. It's in finding a way to keep moving forward despite them. And that's exactly what we're going to learn today. Think about it. How many times have you started a new spiritual practice with excitement, only to let it slip away after a few weeks? Maybe you tried meditation but found your mind wandering too much. Or perhaps you began reading spiritual books but struggled to apply the teachings to your daily life. These are common experiences, and they don't mean you're failing. They're just signs that you haven't yet discovered the secret to lasting motivation. Now, you might be thinking, so what if I lose motivation sometimes? Is it really that big a deal? Let me tell you, the stakes are higher than you might realize. When we lose motivation on our spiritual journey, we're not just missing out on a few moments of peace or some interesting ideas. We're potentially closing the door on profound personal growth, deep inner peace, and a sense of purpose that can transform every aspect of our lives. Imagine for a moment what your life could look like if you stayed consistently motivated on your spiritual path. Picture waking up each morning with a sense of calm and purpose, facing life's challenges with resilience and grace, and going to bed each night feeling fulfilled and at peace. This isn't just a dream. It's a reality that many people have achieved through their spiritual practice. But here's the catch. It only happens when you find a way to stay motivated, to keep showing up for yourself day after day, even when it's hard. On the flip side, what happens when we let our motivation slip away? At first, it might not seem like much. Maybe you skip a few days of meditation or stop reading those inspirational books. But over time, the effects can snowball. You might find yourself more easily stressed or anxious. Your sense of purpose might start to fade. You could lose touch with that feeling of being connected to something greater than yourself. And before you know it, you're back where you started, feeling lost and unsure. But don't worry. Even if you've struggled with motivation in the past, even if you've started and stopped your spiritual practices more times than you can count, there's hope. The secret I'm about to share with you has the power to change everything. It's not about willpower or discipline. It's about understanding a fundamental truth about yourself and your journey. And once you grasp this truth, you'll find that staying motivated becomes not just easier, but almost effortless. So, what is this powerful secret that can keep you motivated on your spiritual journey? It's called the mirror principle, and it's based on a simple yet profound idea. Your spiritual experiences are a reflection of your inner world. In other words, what you see and experience on your spiritual path is directly connected to how you see yourself and your journey. This might sound a bit abstract at first, so let's break it down. Think about a literal mirror for a moment. When you look in a mirror, what do you see? You see a reflection of yourself, right? But here's the interesting part. That reflection isn't just showing you your physical appearance. It's also reflecting your state of mind. If you're feeling happy and confident, you might notice a sparkle in your eye or a spring in your step. If you're feeling down or tired, you might see that reflected in your posture or expression. Now, imagine that your spiritual journey is like a giant mirror. Everything you experience, the insights you gain, the challenges you face, the moments of peace or frustration, they're all reflections of what's going on inside you. This means that if you want to change your spiritual experiences, if you want to stay motivated and keep growing, the key isn't in changing the external world. It's in changing how you see yourself and your journey. This is a game changer because it puts the power back in your hands. You're not at the mercy of external circumstances or waiting for some magical motivation to appear. You have the ability to shape your spiritual journey by shaping your inner world. And the best part? This isn't about forcing yourself to think positive thoughts or pretending everything is perfect. It's about understanding the connection between your inner world and your outer experiences and learning how to work with this connection in a way that keeps you moving forward. Let's look at an example to make this clearer. Imagine two people who both decide to start a daily meditation practice. The first person sees meditation as a chore, something they should do because it's good for them. Every time they sit down to meditate, they're focused on how long it will take and whether they're doing it right. The second person, on the other hand, sees meditation as an exciting opportunity to explore their inner world. They're curious about what they'll discover each time they sit down. Now, which person do you think is more likely to stick with their practice? The second person, right? And here's the key. It's not because they have more willpower or discipline. It's because their inner view of meditation, as an exciting opportunity rather than a chore, is reflected in their experience. They're more likely to notice the benefits, to feel good about their practice, and to look forward to it each day. This is the mirror principle in action. By changing how they saw meditation, the second person changed their entire experience of it. And this same principle applies to every aspect of your spiritual journey. Whether you're studying spiritual teachings, practicing mindfulness, or engaging in any other spiritual activity, your experience will be a reflection of your inner view. But here's where it gets really powerful. Once you understand this principle, you can use it intentionally to stay motivated. You can start to shape your inner world in a way that naturally leads to more positive experiences on your spiritual path. And as you have more positive experiences, you'll find yourself naturally more motivated to continue. This isn't about pretending everything is perfect or ignoring challenges. It's about recognizing that you have the power to shape your journey. It's about understanding that your mindset, your beliefs, and your expectations play a crucial role in your spiritual growth. And most importantly, it's about learning how to work with this principle to create a self-sustaining cycle of motivation and growth. In the next sections, we're going to dive deeper into how you can apply this principle in your own life. We'll explore practical strategies for changing your inner view, dealing with setbacks, and creating a positive cycle of growth. But for now, I want you to start thinking about your own spiritual journey. How do you see it? What beliefs or expectations might be shaping your experiences? Remember, there's no right or wrong answer here. The goal is simply to start becoming aware of the connection between your inner world and your spiritual experiences. As we move forward, keep in mind that this isn't about perfection. It's not about always feeling motivated or never facing challenges. The spiritual journey is complex and multifaceted, and it's natural to have ups and downs. But by understanding and working with the mirror principle, you'll have a powerful tool for navigating these ups and downs. You'll be able to stay connected to your path even when things get tough, and you'll have the ability to create more of the experiences you desire. So, are you ready to discover how to use this principle in your own life? Are you ready to unlock a source of motivation that can keep you going even when the path gets steep? Let's dive in and explore how you can use the mirror principle to transform your spiritual journey. Now that we understand the mirror principle, let's dive into how we can use it to stay motivated on our spiritual journey. The first key is to change your inner view. This might sound simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Remember, what you experience on your spiritual path is a reflection of how you see yourself and your journey. So, by changing your inner view, you can transform your entire spiritual experience. Let's start by thinking about how you currently see your spiritual journey. Do you see it as a difficult climb, full of obstacles and challenges? Or do you see it as an exciting adventure, filled with opportunities for growth and discovery? There's no right or wrong answer here. The important thing is to become aware of your current perspective. Once you're aware of your current view, you can start to shape it intentionally. This isn't about forcing yourself to think positive thoughts or ignoring real challenges. It's about choosing a perspective that serves you and supports your growth. For example, instead of seeing meditation as a chore that you have to do, you could start to see it as a precious opportunity to connect with your inner self. Instead of viewing spiritual teachings as complicated ideas you need to memorize, you could see them as fascinating insights that can enrich your life. Here's a simple exercise you can try. Take a few minutes to write down some positive affirmations about your spiritual self and your journey. These could be statements like, "I am growing and evolving every day," "My spiritual journey is an exciting adventure," or "I have the wisdom and strength to overcome any challenges on my path." The exact words don't matter as much as the feeling behind them. Choose affirmations that resonate with you and feel authentic. Now, you might be thinking, isn't this just positive thinking? Does it really work? The answer is yes, but not in the way you might think. We're not trying to cover up negative feelings or pretend everything is perfect. Instead, we're intentionally choosing to focus on aspects of our journey that inspire and motivate us. And because of the mirror principle, when we change our inner view, our outer experiences start to change too. For example, let's say you've been struggling with a daily meditation practice. You've been seeing it as a difficult task that you're not very good at. As a result, every time you sit down to meditate, you feel frustrated and discouraged. But what if you changed your inner view? What if you started to see meditation as an opportunity to be kind to yourself, to give yourself a few moments of peace in your busy day? Suddenly, the same activity becomes something you look forward to rather than dread. This shift in perspective doesn't happen overnight. It's a practice, just like any other aspect of your spiritual journey. Start by becoming aware of your current views. Then, gently and consistently, start to shift them in a direction that feels more supportive and inspiring. Over time, you'll find that this new perspective becomes more natural, and your experiences will start to reflect this change. Remember, this isn't about ignoring challenges or pretending everything is easy. It's about choosing a perspective that empowers you to keep moving forward, even when things get tough. By changing your inner view, you're not just making your journey more enjoyable, you're setting yourself up for long-term success and growth. Now that we've talked about changing your inner view, let's move on to the second key, being patient. This might seem counterintuitive when we're talking about staying motivated. After all, don't we want to see results quickly? But patience is actually a crucial part of maintaining long-term motivation on your spiritual journey. Here's why patience is so important. Spiritual growth isn't like learning a new skill or reaching a physical goal. It's not something that happens in a straight line or on a predictable timeline. Sometimes you might feel like you're making huge leaps forward, and other times it might feel like you're standing still or even moving backward. This is all part of the process. Think about it like planting a garden. When you plant a seed, you don't see results right away. For a while, it might seem like nothing is happening at all. But beneath the surface, that seed is growing roots, gathering strength, preparing to sprout. Your spiritual growth is a lot like that. Even when you can't see visible progress, important changes are happening beneath the surface. This is where the mirror principle comes in again. If you believe that spiritual growth should happen quickly or in a certain way, you might get discouraged when things don't unfold as you expect. You might start to think you're doing something wrong or that you're not cut out for this journey. And because of the mirror principle, these thoughts can actually create experiences that confirm your doubts. On the other hand, if you cultivate patience and trust in the process, you're more likely to notice and appreciate the small signs of growth along the way. You'll be more resilient in the face of challenges, knowing that they're just part of the journey. And again, because of the mirror principle, this patient and trusting attitude will be reflected in your experiences, creating a more positive and sustainable spiritual practice. So how can you cultivate patience? One way is to shift your focus from the destination to the journey itself. Instead of constantly asking, "Am I there yet?" or "Have I achieved enlightenment?" try to appreciate each step along the way. Enjoy the process of learning, growing, and discovering. Celebrate small victories and insights, no matter how minor they might seem. Another helpful practice is to remind yourself that setbacks and plateaus are normal and even necessary parts of growth. Just like a plant needs periods of rest between growth spurts, your spiritual self needs time to integrate new insights and experiences. When you hit a plateau or face a challenge, Try to see it as an opportunity for deeper learning rather than a sign of failure. It can also be helpful to keep a spiritual journal. Write down your experiences, insights, and questions. Over time, you'll be able to look back and see how far you've come, even during periods when it felt like you weren't making progress. This can be incredibly motivating and help you maintain patience during difficult times. Remember, being patient doesn't mean being passive. It doesn't mean you stop putting effort into your spiritual practices or that you don't set goals for yourself. It simply means that you trust in the process, knowing that growth happens in its own time and in its own way. By cultivating patience, you're creating a supportive inner environment for your spiritual growth. You're giving yourself the time and space to truly absorb and integrate new experiences and insights. And most importantly, you're building a foundation for long-term motivation and growth, rather than relying on short-term excitement or quick results. Now that we've explored the importance of changing your inner view and being patient, let's move on to the third key, focusing on the good. This principle is all about where you choose to put your attention and energy on your spiritual journey. Here's the thing. On any journey, including a spiritual one, you're going to encounter a mix of positive and negative experiences. You'll have moments of insight and clarity, and you'll also face challenges and doubts. You'll have days when your practices feel effortless and rewarding, and days when they feel difficult or unrewarding. This is all normal and part of the process. But here's where the mirror principle comes into play again. What you focus on tends to grow. If you constantly focus on the challenges and difficulties of your spiritual journey, guess what? You're likely to experience more challenges and difficulties. On the other hand, if you make a conscious effort to focus on the positive aspects of your journey, the insights, the moments of peace, the small victories, you're more likely to experience more of these positive things. This doesn't mean ignoring problems or pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing where to put the majority of your attention and energy. It's about training yourself to notice and appreciate the good things, even when they might seem small or insignificant. So how can you put this into practice? One powerful tool is to keep a spiritual gratitude journal. Each day, take a few minutes to write down something positive about your spiritual journey. It could be a moment of peace you experienced during meditation, an insight you gained from reading a spiritual text, or even just the fact that you showed up for your practice that day. No matter how small it might seem, write it down and take a moment to really appreciate it. This practice does two important things. First, it trains your mind to start noticing more positive aspects of your journey. The more you look for these positive moments, the more you'll start to see them. Second, it creates a record of your positive experiences that you can look back on during challenging times. When you're feeling discouraged or unmotivated, you can flip through your journal and remind yourself of all the good things you've experienced on your journey. Another way to focus on the good is to practice mindful appreciation during your spiritual activities. For example, if you're meditating, take a moment at the end of your session to appreciate the fact that you gave yourself this time for self-care and growth. Even if the meditation felt challenging or your mind was particularly busy, appreciate the effort you put in and the commitment you showed to your practice. You can also share your positive experiences with others. Whether it's talking with a friend, sharing in a spiritual community, or even posting on social media, expressing gratitude for your spiritual experiences can help reinforce their positive impact in your mind. Plus, it might inspire others on their own journeys. Remember, focusing on the good doesn't mean ignoring challenges or avoiding difficult emotions. These are important parts of the spiritual journey too. But by intentionally directing more of your attention to the positive aspects of your journey, you're creating a more supportive and motivating environment for your growth. Think of it like tending a garden. Yes, you need to deal with weeds when they pop up, but most of your time and energy should be spent nurturing the plants you want to grow. In the same way, while you'll need to address challenges on your spiritual path, most of your energy should be focused on nurturing the aspects of your journey that bring you joy, peace, and growth. By focusing on the good, you're not just making your journey more enjoyable. You're actually shaping your future experiences. Remember the mirror principle. What you focus on internally will be reflected in your external experiences. So by training yourself to focus on the positive aspects of your journey, you're actually inviting more positive experiences into your path. This practice of focusing on the good can create a powerful positive cycle. The more you notice and appreciate the positive aspects of your journey, the more motivated you'll feel to continue. And the more you continue, the more positive experiences you'll have to appreciate. It's a self-reinforcing cycle that can help sustain your motivation over the long term. Key 4. Create a positive cycle. Now that we've explored changing your inner view, being patient, and focusing on the good, let's dive into our fourth key, creating a positive cycle. This is where we bring everything together to create a self-sustaining momentum in your spiritual journey. Think of your spiritual journey as a wheel. Each positive thought, action, or experience is like giving that wheel a little push. At first, it might take a lot of effort to get the wheel moving, but as it starts to spin, it becomes easier to keep it going. And eventually, it starts to roll on its own, picking up speed and momentum. That's what we're aiming for in your spiritual practice. So how do we create this positive cycle? It starts with setting clear intentions. Take some time to think about what you want to achieve in your spiritual practice. Maybe you want to feel more peace in your daily life, or perhaps you're seeking a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. Whatever it is, make it clear in your mind. Once you have your intentions set, it's time to look for signs of growth. Remember, these signs might be small at first. Maybe you notice that you're a little more patient in traffic, or you find yourself pausing to appreciate a beautiful sunset. These might seem insignificant, but they're actually powerful indicators that your practice is having an effect. The next step is crucial. Celebrate these small wins. Don't brush them off or take them for granted. Really acknowledge them and allow yourself to feel good about them. This isn't about inflating your ego. It's about recognizing and appreciating your progress. When you do this, you're reinforcing the positive changes and encouraging more of them. Let's look at an example. Say you've set an intention to be more mindful in your daily life. One day, you notice that when you're eating lunch, you're really tasting your food instead of just wolfing it down while scrolling through your phone. That's a win. Take a moment to acknowledge it. Maybe even write it down in your journal. By doing this, you're not only recognizing your progress, but you're also training your mind to notice more of these mindful moments. As you continue this process of setting intentions, noticing growth, and celebrating wins, you'll start to create a positive feedback loop. Your successes, no matter how small, will motivate you to keep going. And as you keep going, you'll experience more successes. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill, getting bigger and gaining momentum as it goes. But what about when things get tough? Because they will, that's just part of the journey. This is where your positive cycle becomes really powerful. When you hit a rough patch, you can look back at all the progress you've made. You can remind yourself of all the positive changes you've experienced. This can give you the strength and motivation to push through the challenges. Remember, creating this positive cycle isn't about forcing things or putting pressure on yourself. It's about cultivating a mindset of growth and appreciation. It's about training yourself to notice and celebrate progress, no matter how small. And most importantly, it's about trusting in the process and knowing that each small step forward is contributing to your larger spiritual journey. By creating this positive cycle, you're not just staying motivated. You're building a sustainable, long-term practice that can support your spiritual growth for years to come. Now that we've covered the 4 keys to staying motivated on your spiritual journey, I want to share a personal story that illustrates how these principles can work in real life. A few years ago, I hit a rough patch in my own spiritual journey. I had been meditating daily for several months, and at first, I felt like I was making great progress. I was feeling calmer, more centered, and more in tune with myself. But then, seemingly out of nowhere, I hit a wall. My meditation sessions started to feel boring and unproductive. I found my mind wandering constantly, and I couldn't seem to focus no matter how hard I tried. I started to get frustrated and discouraged. I began to wonder if I was doing something wrong, or if maybe meditation just wasn't for me after all. I even considered giving up my practice altogether. But then I remembered the mirror principle. I realized that my frustration and discouragement were being reflected in my meditation experiences, creating a negative cycle. So I decided to try a different approach. First, I changed my inner view. Instead of seeing my wandering mind as a failure, I started to view it as a natural part of the process. I reminded myself that noticing my mind wandering was actually a sign of growing awareness. Next, I practiced patience. I let go of my expectations for how my meditation should feel and trusted that even if I couldn't see immediate results, positive changes were happening beneath the surface. I also started to focus more on the good aspects of my practice. Even on days when my mind was particularly busy, I would appreciate the fact that I had shown up and given myself this time for self-care. Finally, I worked on creating a positive cycle. I set an intention to approach my practice with curiosity rather than judgment. I started noticing small signs of progress, like moments of clarity or brief periods of calm, and I made sure to celebrate these small wins. Gradually, things started to shift. My meditation sessions began to feel easier and more rewarding. I found myself looking forward to my practice instead of dreading it. And most importantly, I started to notice positive changes spilling over into my daily life. I was more patient, more present, and better able to handle stress. Looking back, I realized that this challenging period was actually a crucial part of my growth. It taught me the importance of these 4 keys we've discussed, and it showed me that staying motivated on the spiritual path isn't about avoiding difficulties. It's about learning how to work with them in a way that supports our growth. As we wrap up our exploration of staying motivated on your spiritual journey, let's take a moment to recap the key points we've covered. We started by introducing the mirror principle, the idea that our spiritual experiences reflect our inner world. We then explored 4 key strategies for using this principle to maintain motivation. Change your inner view. By consciously shaping how we see ourselves and our spiritual journey, we can transform our experiences. Be patient. Understanding that spiritual growth happens in its own time allows us to stay committed even when progress isn't immediately visible. Focus on the good. By intentionally noticing and appreciating positive aspects of our journey, we invite more positive experiences. Create a positive cycle. Setting intentions, noticing growth, and celebrating small wins creates a self-sustaining momentum. Remember, staying motivated on your spiritual journey isn't about forcing yourself to feel a certain way or pretending that challenges don't exist. It's about understanding the connection between your inner world and your outer experiences and learning how to work with this connection in a way that supports your growth. Your spiritual journey is unique to you. It will have its ups and downs, its challenges and triumphs. But by applying these principles, you can create a strong foundation of motivation that will support you through all the twists and turns of your path. As you move forward, be kind to yourself. Treat your spiritual practice as an ongoing experiment, always learning and adjusting as you go. Trust in the process and trust in yourself. Remember that every step forward, no matter how small, is progress. Your spiritual journey is not a race or a competition. It's a deeply personal exploration of your inner world and your connection to something greater than yourself. By staying motivated, you're giving yourself the greatest gift, the opportunity to grow, to evolve, and to discover the depths of who you truly are. So, as you continue on your path, carry these principles with you. Let them be your guide when the road gets tough. And always remember that within you lies an endless well of motivation and strength. You have everything you need to continue on this beautiful, challenging, and ultimately transformative journey. Thank you for joining me in exploring this important topic. May your spiritual journey be filled with growth, discovery, and lasting motivation. Remember, every step you take is a step towards a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. Keep going, keep growing, and enjoy the journey.